Everyone around me seems to think I'm autistic. I do not have autism, okay? Straight up. I do not have autism. I might have like ADHD, sure. Autism? No. I do not have autism. But everyone seems to think that I do. And in some ways, I kind of agree, but I also kind of disagree. And let me tell you why. When I was a kid, I get super even still now I get super into things, right? Like I hyperfixate on stuff big time, and I think this is because of the ADHD. But I could see why people would think this is like autism, and something that makes me think like, okay, I can see how people maybe think that I could have autism, even though I'm pretty sure I don't. Is the fact that I am someone that knows full well if I'd been introduced to Sonic when I was like 9 years old, I would have been so insufferable. It would have been the only thing I talked about, the only thing I cared about for like the next 5 years. Until I was like 14, 15 years old, I would have been on my Sonic shit for years. Luckily, I was not introduced to Sonic. Well, I kind of was. I knew what Sonic was, and I had played the Mega Drive version of the game, but I was not up to date with the fact that there was a TV show. I was not up to date with the fact that there were like more modern games. I hadn't played any of the modern games. I'd only played like the ancient Mega Drive version, which was a cool game, but as a kid, I had access to things like Little Big Planet. Like I had access to the more modern titles. I was playing Little Big Planet, I was playing Minecraft, I was playing Gary's Mod, I was playing fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, right? Like, I was playing all of these games with like my brother or with my friends that were not Sonic. If I had been playing Sonic, I would have been insufferable. I would not have shut up about Sonic ever. However, that missed me. That wave missed me. So I was not about Sonic. But either way, I do not have autism. However, Sonic thing aside, there is another thing about autism that is kind of relevant to me, and this is the fact that I really dislike textures when it comes to food in specific. Or I'm just very picky with food generally. I like, there are certain flavors that I just can't deal with. For one, I have this cider on my desk right now that has like the aftertaste of sunscreen and I hate it, but I feel like I need to drink it because I've opened it, but it's shit, it's really bad. That's besides the point. What I'm trying to say is, there's a lot of things that I just cannot get past. For example, mushrooms. Very common one that people dislike because of the texture. I can't eat mushrooms. But I also really hate cookies. I really hate brownies. I really hate a lot of like dry foods. What I would consider dry foods. I really hate like most of the stuff by the company Belvita. They do these little like biscuits and things, and they're fucking horrible because they're just dry and crusty and nasty. And that's sad. Some people will say, well, brownies and cookies aren't really dry food. I'm like, sure, they're not dry, like stereotypically, but they're really like sticky. They're like sticky dry, right? When I say dry food, I mean food that's like either straight up dry and just hard to eat because it's dry and it hurts your mouth and it's like dusty, or food that's like really sticky in the way where like toffee, right? The type of stuff that will like stick to your teeth, stick to your gums. Hate it. Absolutely despise that. And this alone does not mean that I have autism, but every single time I bring it up in a conversation with anybody, friends, family, they all just look at me in a certain way. They look at me in a way that to me says, we think you've got autism. And this isn't even like a thing that I've made up in my head. They actively say this shit to me. Quite frequently, they go, we think you got autism. I do not have autism. This is not a thing that I have. I just have specific things that I like when it comes to food and when it comes to textures. Flavors is a little bit different, right? I did mention the like sunscreen thing. The specific flavors I don't like, but I think that's the same for like every single person in the world. So that's not crazy. But the texture thing, specific, I just can't deal with. And you might think that if I don't like dry food, then I must like wet food, right? Like that must be the thing that I'm about. And that's not even true. I'm not even really that about wet food. In fact, there are certain wet foods that I just don't like anyways. Like I don't like green beans because of the way that they slide across my teeth and they do like the like condensation on a window type squeak or like nails on a chalkboard, right? They give me that like goosebumps feeling. Hate that. That's horrible. Also, I don't like mini baby corn. Not for any particular reason except I just think it tastes bad. But I just thought I'd bring it up because I don't like that either. But yeah, it's not like I like wet food necessarily, but I definitely couldn't eat cereal dry. That would drive me insane. However, I do enjoy cereal with water. I like cereal with water. I don't really like milk. It's kind of a weird flavor, but cereal with water works quite well for me because it like lets me taste the cereal the way it's intended to be tasted. Because like water doesn't really taste like very much, but also it's wet and it's not dry because I don't like dry food. I've also never really liked like granola or muesli or this type of thing because again, it's just like a bunch of little tiny particles that I just can't really deal with, and it just upsets me. It upsets me a lot. Now again, all of this to say I don't have autism. This is just like a thing. This is just a part of me. I don't like the way that certain foods are. I don't. And if I'd been introduced to Sonic, I would have been obsessed with it. But I think this is quite normal and well adjusted of me. As I've said, ADHD, maybe. I could maybe see that, like, potentially. However, I've been on a list for that for a bajillion years, so I can't even say that either, right? I don't know that I have that. And I'm not even sure that I do, right? But maybe. Autism, no, I don't think so. I don't particularly like struggle in social situations either, which is something that I've always sort of associated with autism. It's not something that I really struggle with. I feel like I have a generally good idea of what people are feeling and like saying and thinking. I don't really have social anxiety either. That's a thing that like kind of doesn't exist for me, which is kind of a blessing, I guess. It lets me just like be a bit of an idiot in public, but also it leads to me being a bit of an idiot in public. So there is that. Making a fool of myself is like a semi-frequent occurrence. It does occur, as they would say. But yeah, that was it really. That was kind of all I had to say. I get autism allegations semi-frequently, and I just don't have it. Pretty damn sure I don't have it. But people are so obsessed. They're so obsessed with saying I have it, and I don't. I definitely don't. Let me know in the comments if you're autistic, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really good with like engagement bait. If that's what, like, that's kind of what it is, right? Engagement bait. I'm not really good at that. But what I am good at is talking about how like just rambling. I'm a rambler. I like rambling. If you enjoy just listening to me yap, because it's kind of all I'm doing. I'm just turning on like my microphone and just talking because I like doing that. This is like more for me than anything. I'm gonna be real. I just like want something to do that makes me feel like I'm like making something, because I have this weird thing where if I am not productive in a specific day, if I don't make something in a day, I feel like I am like a failure. If I don't actually like manage to make something in a day, I do just feel like a failure and like I haven't like lived my life correctly, or like I'm like a disappointment or something, which is like kind of not great. But you know, it is what it is. It's something that I kind of struggle with in my own time, but I feel like this kind of helps with that because it's really easy, you know? I'm just like, I'm talking about my own life and I'm talking about my own experiences into like a random void, and it makes me feel like I've done something. And it's kind of cool as well because like I get to put in music that I like, I get to put in my own music, I get to play video games, I get to talk. It's cool, it's nice, it's great. I get to sometimes even put in my own video games because those of you who don't actually know, I am a very like creative person outside of this thing that I do. Like I make video games, I make music. I'm on a course for making video games, and yeah, I make music as like a hobby. I draw, I animate, right? Like I do all of these things, but I put kind of like too much effort and too much time into doing these things all the time if I want to post them online, which is just like not something that I necessarily have the time for, I guess, is how I'd put it. Like, I don't have the time to be doing all of that stuff every single day, and I don't have the energy to be doing all of that stuff every single day. Whereas when it comes to just like bullshit talking, I can do that really easily. It's something I do all the time to myself, regardless of whether I'm recording or not. So it feels like a pretty good outlet for that. So that's why this exists. But yeah, I don't have autism. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. You're great. Check out my music if you want to. I'll leave a link in the description. I haven't uploaded anything in a while because again, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to this type of thing, and I feel wrong if I've not done it right. But either way, yeah. Thank you. Bye.